There we go. Let me get another block here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and show you what this one's doing. I just picked it up the other day for about 37 bucks. You can see it's just making noise. It's not wanting to. It moves forward, but it tries to move backward, but it can't quite get it done. So I'm going to see what we got going on in the gearboxes as to why we're not able to go backwards. That's where we're going to start. But I couldn't believe it whenever I was able to get my hands on it. You guys can see it's an Athearn. What the hell happened here? For some reason my screen went black. There, that's why. Well, if it's not going to work that way, we'll do it the other way. Maybe. I don't know why. There it goes. I'll have to edit that, I guess, later. But yeah, you can see what we had in the beginning of the video there. It didn't want to, it wanted to go forward a little bit, but it was really struggling. And then going backward, it wouldn't go at all. It acted like it was bound up. So we're going to start just by taking the top off and seeing what we got going on inside. And then we're going to go from there and see what we got to do to fix the problem. Whether it just needs to be lubed up or what, I don't know. But we're gonna pop her open and see what we got going on here. This is something I've been looking for a long time, and I finally got my hands on one. Get me a little smaller screwdriver here. Pop these off. There's one. There's two. Three. And I am in talks with the guy. The guy said it ran good when I bought it. I don't know if he was blowing smoke or something happened while it was being shipped. I'm not 100% sure. So we're gonna take it apart here and hopefully find out if I can get this side to pop loose. Find out what the dilemma is. There's that one. It'll stay up. We'll leave that there. And then I'll do the rear one here. There it goes. We got that loose. See, we got well, it's just a one motor unit the way they've set this up. And the rear is really hard to turn. Whoa. Yeah, something's binding up in the rear. The farther I turn it, the more bound up it acts like it is. So we're going to have to take the back truck apart and see what we got going on back here. I've got a feeling it's in the back, not in the front. And for some reason it wants to go forward, just not backwards. So we're going to have to pull that off and see what we got going on here. You see they got one long bar in here going from here to here. I would have thought there'd be another motor in here, but maybe they got cheap or something in the past and decided to go another route. I haven't seen, I thought for sure there'd be two motors in this one, but it's designed this way, which shouldn't be a huge ordeal as far as running it. Let's see what I can do about getting that bottom truck off here. This is an older one because of the way the truck snaps on the... Here's a smaller screwdriver here, the way it snaps on here. Well, there we go. And it looks like these are truck mounted couplers. That's kind of interesting. So now that I've got the bottom off, if I spin this, try to hold everything, I'm going to try to keep everything in place here. You can see that gearbox is really, really dry. Okay, it's not down there, I don't think. I think it's up here with the worm gear. Yeah, because it's not binding up anymore. So let me sit it down like this where it has weight on it. There, it's getting tough again. I think it's got something to do with the worm gear on the top. If I turn this back over, all of that can fall out, and then that can fall out. This ought to be interesting. I wanted to get a better look at how everything went together before it did this, but I think for the most part it pretty well stayed the way it was supposed to. I can leave it just like this, put that like this. It's definitely a DD40, it even says it right here. But that's kind of frustrating that it fell apart like that. But that worm gear, those all should sit like that. I think this looks like it went like this. Right there, maybe? Yeah, I think that's where that went. But yeah, that was fun. Just set it on it and then it just straight up falls apart. So this goes here like this. This should go, let's see here. I'm pretty sure that's how that goes. I don't think it sits on the outside side. I think it sits on the inside. That way that it can only pick up power from one side. There we go. I don't want to turn it over yet because I don't have the cover in place. I got all of those axles to sit in that side frame without them coming apart here. And I lost a wheel. Where'd it go? I hate that. It fell out. Nope, there it is right there. None of my gears look to be busted. So that's good news. So that should sit together like that. If I can get it to stay together. I put one in and the other ones fall out. Come on. Okay. So that has to sit like that. But those gears aren't sitting what? Okay, here we go. Man alive. All these moving parts. Okay. This is going to be kind of a challenge. I was super excited to get this and then found out it wasn't running. And now I'm in the process of trying to figure out why the rear gear box is locking up when it tries to run in reverse and puts a bind on the motor. And when I went and pulled this out, it all fell out whenever I pulled it out. And I was like, oh my gosh. So, that's how that all works. I can, there we go. That's what I wanted. I wanted it to lock together, and it wasn't doing it until I did that. So now, it isn't wanting to go backward, but it'll go forward. And I think that's where my problem lies. And I don't know why. There we go. They're all kind of slipping against each other. Hey, Scott Rails. I have a DD40 here. Let me pull this back so you guys can see it. I picked it up for real cheap on eBay. When I say real cheap, I paid $37 for it. And it worked. It wants to run forward, but I can't get it to run in reverse real well. So I'm trying to get it to work here. And I'm struggling just a little bit. Whenever I went to pull it apart, this piece fell completely apart, and I just got done piecing it back together. What's going on? Good evening to you. I'm hoping within this next hour I can get this thing to want to work. And you can see here I've got the wheels turning here, but they bind up when I go the other way, and I don't know why. I haven't found any reason as to why they should be doing that. And it doesn't look like the gears are in the wrong place. Let me do this for now to keep me from having any more trouble. This should sit to the back, which means this goes to the back. We'll put this on here like this. See, it tucks in at the top, and then it should just snap in on this end. And if I do this, then the thing won't come apart while I'm trying to work on it. So it'll work one direction, but not the other. It looks like at one point it had two motors, and somebody's extended the drive shaft, possibly, or maybe this was a different model where they built it different, but yeah, it's weird. I don't know if a little grease is going to help this or not. But yeah, it locks up right here. There, well, then getting some kind of gear slip there, but everything's nice and tight, like it's supposed to be. This sits in here like so. I say like so. We're going to get it in there, and then I can say like so. There you go, like so. It sits in there just like that. This sat through here. This sits under here like this. And then we have our worm gear that sits on top of our upper gear here and locks in. And then this is the bearing on the back. And the bearing was in good shape, which actually I'm going to go ahead and do that while I got it apart. I have a 3-in-1 brand oil that I use for my bearings. And then I have a grease that I use for my gears, and it don't take much. That drop might have been just a little too much, but We'll put that on and put that on here. And this should snap together, just like that. Well, it doesn't snap, it just slides in. I'm going to put just a little bit of grease. The grease I use is a dielectric grease, and it's a food grade fully synthetic grease. So we're going to put a little bit of this on there. I'm going to see if maybe just adding some grease to it helps it not cog. We're gonna see what happens here. I'm going to just squirt out a little bit there. It really don't take much. And the good thing about dielectric grease is I'm always as clean as I can be with it, but sometimes it still can make a mess. So if I use dielectric, I don't have as big a risk of having electrical issues. Let me pull up my chats here. Like that. There we go. I was working on a trolley car recently. I found one tiny gear tooth that was bent. I used a small screwdriver to straighten it. It worked for a wee while. Yeah. That's the next thing I'm going to do is really start investigating the gears if I can't get a little bit of grease to maybe help this thing out, because it looks like it's dry as a bone inside. So we're going to turn this until I find, because turning front and rear, it does just fine on the front. It just doesn't do real well on the rear. So I just got to find the keyway and get it in the right spot with the drive line so I can slide it forward. And actually, I can do it off the back side there. Turn that until I find the spot. There we go. Okay, so that's in. There we go. And then this should just click right in over this tab here. There we go, just like that. Then that's locked in. And we're going to try to see if I can get some of this grease to work on these gears and get this thing to actually go. And it looks like I've been successful. We're going to find out. It looks like it's still catching ever so slightly, but I'm trying to figure out why. And I see it pops. There it is, it popped again. So I'm going to try running it the other way temporarily and see if I can't get enough grease in the system. And I'm actually going to add some more grease. There, I can turn this. I'm going to add some more grease right here and see if I can't get it to free up and not click like that. Maybe it'll start to slide a little better, because this whole gearbox was dry. And when I mean dry, there was not a lick of grease in it. Almost like it was brand new maybe, and never had any grease in it at all. So I'm going to take and wipe a little more grease in here amongst these gears. And then I'm going to try to run it just a little bit and see if I can't get this rear gearbox to free up a little. Because like I said, it wanted to go forward. I just couldn't get it to go backward to save its life. It would bog the motor down and wouldn't allow it to go backward. So let's move this shell out of the way for now. And let's put this on the track here and see if I can get anything out of it as far as going in reverse. I know it'll go forward. It's just a matter of figuring out the reverse on it. Okay. No, it's still kind of wanting to cog on the rear, but the front's doing better. But the rear just is not having it for whatever reason. We might be getting something down. Let's see here. It's still catching. I don't want to do that a ton because I don't want to burn the motor up, but I got to run it enough to get the grease in it so that maybe it'll run. And it's already doing better than it was, but it's not perfect by any means. It's coming around. It may have needed to be worked in too, I'm not sure, to get the gears to try to fall into the right place. That made a big difference. Big difference. I can tell it's still pushing against it, but it's actually made somewhat of a difference there. So we're going to go ahead and add a little more grease to that rear truck and keep working it and see if we can work that grease in real good and get it to where it's going to run like it's supposed to. Because I know that that grease hasn't traveled through that whole gearbox yet. There's no way. That's possible too. I had the thing apart and literally it fell apart in my hands and scared the crap out of me because this particular locomotive, I'm pretty confident in something I've had apart before, but this particular locomotive in itself, I've never had one of these apart, one of these DD40s. So I was trying to keep it all in one piece until I could get a little more familiar with it and figure out why on earth it did what it did. So I'm going to wipe some more grease in there. And I am going to take your advice on that, man. I'm going to probably pop it back apart. If I can't get this thing to straighten out or knock out whatever's in it out of it gently, then I am going to yank the dude back apart and see if I can't get it to work. But it looks like whatever I had going on, we've about solved it. Now, the front gearbox definitely needs some grease, but I think the rear one is coming around. And I'm just running this on a cheap Bachmann controller too, just so I have something to add power to test on. So who knows what'll happen when I take it over there and can run it on the other one. Now let's get some more grease here. Grease is the word, absolutely. Yep, grease makes all the difference in getting the friction out of them and not making them stick as bad. I'll put some grease in here. I'm going to take this top one and I'm going to put a dab of oil in it. What I do here is that eyedropper actually just puts out too much oil, really, in all honesty. But just enough to get it wet and then let it work itself in. I'm going to try to hold it on its end for a second. I'm going to have to put a new coupler on it. I've got couplers ordered. But yeah, that coupler's that coupler's junk. Whether it's got one that, I guess that spring-loaded deal in it's broke. That or the copper is inside if it's got one of those copper deals in it. Let's do that. And I've added the grease. Let's see if we can get the motor to turn and start lubing that front gearbox. Oh my gosh, you talk about quieting it down. It is so much quieter just putting grease in the gearbox. It's still making a little noise in the rear, but it's not terrible. And it's not straining the motor a ton. Here in a few minutes, we'll take it over to my main track, which is nothing special, but it's a loop, a pretty wide loop for this style of locomotive. And we'll see how she does. The commutator's really clean. That's where I said I don't think that it's actually been used a whole lot because there's no soot. The commutators on these sometimes are black when they get to me, and there's nothing wrong there at all. The only thing I'm thinking about doing maybe in the future is adding a second motor. I think that would be pretty cool to have a second motor and just let it run. One motor run the front and one motor run the rear. It'd make it a lot more powerful, and it'd add a little bit of weight to it too. But yeah, I'm actually, that's going really well. Okay. Now we've got that done. The wheels could use cleaning, that's for sure. But as far as everything else, I think we're in pretty good shape here. I am going to put some oil. There's a bearing here. Yes, yep, there's a bearing here, and there's a bearing here, and I'm going to put a little oil on those as well. And where did my chats go? They pop up and then they go away. Like Scott says, the oil goes right there. Whoa, 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 whoa. We don't want that. We don't want that. We do not want it on the commutator. No, no, no. There we go. Off, but you don't want it here. You want it in there. So you got to be careful with that. You do not want oil on that, or you will be very upset. It will take forever to get that out of there. So I got a little oil on that side. I'm going to wipe out the excess. And then we're going to do the other side. And you definitely don't want it in there either. You want it up there. Yeah, I'm considering doing something for that. Let's see here. As far as a syringe, something, anything. Because even though this thing has like an eyedropper type deal, it's not particularly good for models for whatever reason. I can't always get the drop to go in where I want it to. There we go. It'll sit there for a second. I'm going to dab this or wipe the sides off real quick so we don't get it down in the motor. I'm going to hold it up like this so that that oil can kind of try to run down. Try to show you where that bearing is. So yeah, so I did that bearing and that bearing there. They're inside that. Get grease on that. Okay. Because I have a feeling this locomotive has sat for a long time. And I've heard more noise out of smaller locomotives. What we got going on here? I feel like there's still something. I'm not sure what, but I feel like there's something messing with that rear truck. I'm not sure what, but there's something going on back there. I'm going to check the gearbox and make sure all the grease got to all of the gears, at least in the rear. Let's see. Let's go ahead and pop the worm gear off. Let me wipe my screwdriver off here. Looking for kind of the best place to do it. I think that's going to do it right there. There it goes. The brass bearings on either side of the worm gear were seizing up. Athearn blue box. And I'm pretty sure that's what this is an Athearn blue box as well. Yeah, if that bearing's seizing up, you could absolutely be right on that. That could be causing the problem. And it did seem like it made a big difference when I put that oil in there. So I'm going to double check this worm gear when I pop it off here, if and when I actually get the darn thing to pop off. I'm trying to be gentle with them. You just don't know how well they're going to cooperate with you. It was funny when I went to take it apart the first time, it just literally come completely apart. If I look here, it looks like that front gear is kind of dry. So I think we're just going to go the same route we did last time. I'm going to pop the bottom cover off, and then the rest of it should kind of go with it, should fall off with it. I don't want to do it that way, but that seemed to work the best last time. So if I can push it off right here, off those two little metal ears, I should be able to do it. The truck and the frame to get that clip. Okay, I'll take your advice on this one. So actually, your frame's here. It helped. My contacts have about had it for the day too. Oh, under the truck. Okay, for taking this off. Yeah, I've done that before. Between the for the frame and right here. Yep, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. I got you. Sometimes text and things get lost in, yeah, just like that. Just like that. Yeah. Sometimes in the things get lost in the translation. It does look like it passed some of that grease through the gears, but it doesn't look like it got quite all of it. But I don't see, you were talking about maybe there being a burr in the, let's see if I can twist it around to the point that I can maybe see what's going on here. I need to hold it in frame. I'm doing a terrible job at that. I don't think it's that right there. I'm going to keep turning it here and see what we get. You ain't kidding, Scott. Yeah, sometimes it's just hard to understand one way or the other. I appreciate you giving me a hand, though. I haven't had one of these DD40s apart before, so I thought it'd be kind of a fun thing to go for and just do it live. We're going to keep turning this and see if I can get it to cog up at all. I'd hate for it to say, well, I'm not going to cog up unless you've got it all buttoned up tight. Yeah, we got the gears moving, so I just got to spin it at least this way until it's all the way around and then go back and see if I can find where it's cogging. And so far, I haven't felt it get tight at all. I need like a couple of alligator clips where I can feed DC power to the front of the locomotive. That way it tries to turn the rear and then it would cog it up if it had any problems. Let's turn it back this way and see if I can find an issue here. Because so far I'm not seeing one. Oop, we got tight. But it made it through it. So maybe right in here somewhere. I don't see anything yet. And I've got a pretty bright light on it. I don't know if it's just because it needs to be worked in or what. I mean, it helped definitely getting the grease in it to begin with. But I'm not seeing anything at all. I'm thinking I'm going to put a little more grease in the bottom of it and then take it over to the track and run it a little and see if I can work the bugs out of it. I don't know. Because I cannot see a burr in those gears whatsoever. Yeah, it's just not wanting to cog while I'm working those gears. I'm going to hold it together like this. Get my grease. I am out of 9-volt batteries. I put the last one in my smoke detector. I had actually thought about doing that. And yeah, I put the last one in my smoke detector. I need to get more. I'd finally had enough the other day. Well, I listened to the thing chirp for like a week, which I know better. But I listened to it chirp for like a week, and then I finally put the battery in it. Put a little more grease in here, because this actually, even with it having what it had in it, it was enough to get wet, but not enough to really supply it to all of it. Yeah, for sure. It's definitely something I'm going to look to see what the worm gear is doing on top. Pop this on. because I know I can get the worm gear off with this apart because the whole darn thing falls apart. But let's see here. Let's see if I can get that to lock in place just like that. And then that is one thing about this. That cover there is pretty easy to put on compared to some of the other ones. Between the back wheel and the frame, there's a gap. What we got going on here? Between the back wheel and the frame, there's a gap. Stick the screwdriver up that gap to react. Okay. All right, so I'll turn it back over. I think you're talking about right, hard to show. Like right here. And then try to pop it. Oh, I think I see exactly what you're talking about right there. Boy, you you got it, man. I'll remember that one. That's a hell of a trick. Let's see here. Trying to be gentle to not. Okay, there it goes. It should be loose, I think. I think I got it loose there. Yeah, it's loose. There it is. Looking in the top, I don't see anywhere for it to catch in the top, even against that pin in the rear. And it looks like, well, I'm not really in view here. Here we go. It looks like that worm gear is spinning pretty freely in there. It's definitely loose on this side. And then on this side where that piece holds it, it's spinning pretty freely. So I don't think it's in the worm gear. But it was definitely a good place to check. That's for sure. I'm going to go ahead and put that piece back together. And for anybody just stepping in, there's a keyway on this drive line here where it comes from the motor. And you can turn the keyway around until you find the drive line. And actually, I got to hold it up here, not on the housing, but here. Absolutely. Yeah, every possibility. If there's a chance that could be the problem, why not check it out first? I totally agree. And put this on there. Line them up. Slip it under that clip there. Put this here so you can see a little better. That's one thing I got to get better at, is trying to make sure everybody can see what I'm doing. Sometimes I get so involved in whatever I'm doing that I forget that nobody else can see what I'm doing. There it goes. I did have trouble. I have a 70s model blue box that I did have trouble with. Yeah, that's getting better. It's still popping, though. I don't understand. Unless it has to do with me having it sit on the... No. There, it got tight again. It got tight right there. If I undo it there and then... Yeah. Yeah, for whatever reason... Now, I've turned it a ton. Unless there's just one bad spot in the gears that I'm not seeing. I don't know. Reversing all the axles in that truck. You mean as in flipping them over or putting them in different positions? Because I'm all for trying that. I didn't move any of the axles around, so maybe just take the axles and turn them over. Gotcha. Here we go again. I'm trying to do this without something else coming apart on me. There we go. There it is. Possibly. That's what I'll do. I'll flip the, where's my foam mat? I have a foam mat around here that I have not been bright enough to put in here. I don't know what I did with it. That's part of the problem. It ain't in my drawer. I had a foam mat that I was using for a while, and oh, there it is. I was going to say I need more of them. This is all I've got for now, but this will help me a little bit, and it'll help let it lean forward so you guys can see what I'm doing. So if I take this off and I just turn my wheels around, maybe that'll make a difference. Come on, how'd you go? There. You know, and I almost want to put oil in those spots, but I don't have anything that's that's conductive for oil. I just have the grease. And I really don't want that stuff down that low where it can get on my track either. There's one. Well, I say there's one. It's almost done. There's number one. I need needle nose pliers is what I need, or these. There we go. Instead of my big frickin' fingers. Right. And then I gotta lock this one in. There's the bottom. There's the top. Let's do this one. Yeah, they look like they're almost centered at least. It's hard to tell from the screen, but they're close. There's number 3. And the last one. See if this makes a difference. I'm hoping it does. Like this. Hey, when you got hands big like mine, sometimes it makes it hard, and you got to have something where you can reach in there and grab and still see what you're doing while you're doing it. Yeah, these work actually really, really well, and I go to a lot of auctions, and every once in a while I find some tools that I think would be handy for this kind of stuff, and I definitely snatch them up. All right, we got that part done. Now let's turn it back over and try to push the dude together. Close, but not quite close enough. Whoa, that's not what I wanted. Let's try to stand it on its top. It's going to be hard for everybody to see, but I got to try to get this thing together here. If you've watched any other train repair videos, sometimes it's easier for him to put it together off screen than it is trying to do it on screen, because it's hard to work and do both. The gears are in the right place. There's 2 of them. I don't know what on earth I got going on here, but it is not wanting to work with me at all. You get them all lined up perfect, and then one of them wants to fall out of line. Almost need a pair of vice grips to put in the center of the truck to try to hold the truck together while you're getting everything straight. Oh, what on earth we got going on here? Something ain't lining up right, because I had it all together. Makes me almost want to take the worm gear off and try to put it back together before I put it on the frame. Because it's not wanting to come together in the back for whatever reason. Well, it's that gear right there now. What we got going on here? Yeah, that's going to end up having to be what happens here. Yep, I'm going to have to pull this out here. I had it popped loose, at least I thought I did. I almost had it there. Oh, wait a minute. What we got there? What just happened? Whatever I did up there, that straightened everything out down here. Just a little bit of finagling. If I got to fix something up top, I can fix it up top. But for now, I'm going to try to slip this dude back together. Yeah, maybe not. I had it all straight, and then, no. What we got going on here? And now we're not all straight again. Well, something happened up top, and I had it right, and then there's my worm gear. I got that back off. I just don't want to lose this in the process. Okay. All right. Looks like that come out of alignment. So there's that. Push that back together. And it looks like it all fell back together. Just like you said, Scott, it just wasn't going to do it holding with the worm gear holding it on top. It was making it way more difficult than it had to be. So we can slip that on. You can see here we're slipping this back on. Maybe. Okay, something's not quite locked in where it's supposed to be. Okay. There it goes. We're all straight here. What's up, Si? Oh, really? Huh. Well, I did get this one to go back together like it was supposed to. It's all snapped into place, and everything seems to be turning like it's supposed to here. They're all turning. I'm hoping what you said is right, man. I'm really hoping that we can, this can be the end of this little mini nightmare. I say mini because I've had worse. But hopefully that's all it was, and this can be a simple put back together, and we can go put it over on the rails and see how it does. there's that. There's that. Sliding that in. Because I was really excited about having a DD40. I saw a couple of them, and there was some guys that had some reasonable pricing on them. I was like, man, I had a hard time spending the money. I'm pretty cheap when it comes to this kind of stuff, and I don't mind working on things to get them going versus buying things brand new. Just mainly because, man, this hobby can be as expensive as you want it to be, and I like to keep it as cheap as possible and still enjoy it. So there's that. That's all back together. Man, don't fail me now. I think, Scott, I'm not jumping the gun on this. I saw a Bachmann for sale on eBay that I'm looking at. I like the way that design is a little better than the shell that I have, but I was still pretty stoked either way to get this one. It turned out I thought it was pretty nice. It's missing one stanchion there. I think everything on the back's fine, and I got to fix one side of the front. But otherwise, everything's there, and it looks great for, you can't beat $37. You really can't. Let's see if this dude will go now. We'll go backward. Forward. Backward. Whatever went on there, man, whatever we had going on, I fixed it. I got to fix that rear truck, that coupling box. But otherwise, get a load of that. Scott, you're a genius. It worked. It's not cogging at all. I am just beyond excited about that. I think that'll do it if I just push on it a little bit, bend it back straight. Try that again real quick before I decide to go anywhere else with it. But yeah, it's not cogging at all now. Now it's wanting to run nice and smooth. I'm going to take that tip with me. Super excited that that's going to work. That is, been wanting one of these for a long time. I was a little disappointed when I got it if it's not working now. We've got grease in the front. We've got grease in the rear. We're going to go ahead and throw the cover on it. I'm going to take it over to the track, and we'll run it around the track for a minute and see how it does. I love these Athearns as far as how they put the shells on. You can't beat popping a shell on like that. That's just freaking awesome. All right. There you can see my workbench. I got all kinds of parts and trains. I got a couple more Athearn units there that I need to work on the shells. That shell's perfect. It just needs to be painted, that FP45. This other one was a brand new unpainted Athearn. And then, let's see here. Oh, this one right here I picked up, and that SD60 was sitting on it. But I'm going to see if I can get an SD40-2 to sit on it instead. The SD60 slides back and forth, and it was a kit bash something somebody was putting together. And I wasn't too impressed with it. And I'm going to see if I can't do something a little different with that. But those are kind of my projects I got going on right now. I do like Tyco. I got a lot of Tyco stuff. But let's see here. Let's see how she works. Put her on the track here. Like I said, I don't have a very big layout right now. It's not something I have had time to really do. I'm hoping that this track has got a slight enough bend in it that this can handle it. I got a little work to do with the light. The light was working before, and for some reason it's not working now. But that's freaking awesome. You can't beat that for my first DD40. And I've been looking for one for a couple years. Can't beat a $37 Athearn. That's wide open. Slow it down a little bit here. Yeah, that's probably part of the reason why I had such a hard time getting my hands on one as well. I'm going to prop the phone up here. Get my, I picked this one up for $8. This little Santa Fe. I'm going to sit this right here and hopefully it'll hold the phone up. Yeah. I'm going to get some paper towels and some rubbing alcohol. I'm going to try to clean the wheels up on that thing. Let's see. Yeah, you can't beat that. Let me get my paper towels. I need to get, like I said, I need to get some alligator clips, and I need to get a fiberglass pencil so I can try to start working on these, cleaning the wheels by hand outside of just cleaning them with rubbing alcohol, because it works, but it doesn't last forever. So let me see here. Let's find a good place to do this. I think right here is going to work. I am going to set this up. Let me run in here real quick and get my handy dandy phone holder. Show you what I'm doing here. Yeah. Yeah, I got it going, man. I was pretty excited about it. Thanks to Scott, we did some gear flipping, and it turned out awesome. Put some tape here, that way we can see what I'm doing. Hopefully it'll stay in place. It should stay there. There we go. I'm going to turn this on. Turn this up. I got a little light action there if you guys couldn't see it. Make a lap real quick. Yeah, the light's trying to work. It's just got a bad connection. And believe it or not, that paper towel, even though that paper towel's sitting there, it's running right over it. I don't want to move it yet. Uh-oh. These old cheap tracks that I have aren't really the best in the world, but I'm making them work. Let's see how she does now. Wipe down the track a little bit. That alcohol is so strong it takes the paint off of the table. Right there it jumped again, but it wasn't the first couple times, so I'm kind of confused by it. It did just fine that time around. There you have it. Say thank you to Scott for that little bit of advice. Went a long way in getting her up and going again. That made all the difference in the world. I really appreciate that. Right? The front one? Or a coupler trip pin? Hang on, let me pull that back up. I want to reread what you said there. The front coupler trip pin. The front, it actually doesn't have a coupler right now on the front. I've got to put one on it. It came that way. But the rear one, it might be hanging a little bit low, but naturally that's not going to be the one to affect it. That was why I was curious as to why it was jumping and blamed the track, because if you look on the front, it's missing. And it looks like I've got kind of a dirty spot over there on the track I'm going to have to work on. See, this is my workshop for now. It's going to be built into a bar eventually, but I'm in the middle of working on it. So I have sawdust and drywall dust. I try to keep everything covered up best I can. I have a sheet I put over this, but it's not perfect. And I do have to wipe it down quite often to keep the soot and that off of it. But yeah, that turned out awesome. But Scott, like I said, thank you again. Really appreciate the advice. That made all the difference in the world with it. I'm going to kill this live for the evening. I'm going to put up a couple videos tonight on TikTok and on YouTube in my shorts, and maybe try to shorten up this video and make a how-to, or a walkthrough on how this locomotive worked and what we're able to do to get it fixed. So until next time, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll talk to y'all later. Exactly, Scott. That's exactly how I feel. Y'all have a good evening.